Don't mind me for a second. Just bear with me. I'm just you know, sweeping around. Kind of like the Tigers just did to the New York Yankees this last series. Yeah, the lowly Tigers sweeping the New York Yankees. This reminds me of when the Royals were, they used to be 50 and 110 like 5 years in a row. The Yankees couldn't beat them. And the teams like that really expose the flaws in teams like the Yankees, who are it's becoming more apparent that they're vastly one-dimensional and not versatile enough. There's a common theme amongst a lot of teams that the Yankees struggle against. And on paper, the Detroit Tigers aren't better, but what did they shoot? What did they do against the Yankees? They were persistent, and their young pitchers stymied the Yankees. And it also reminds me of when the Tigers had, Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander, and Rick Porcello, all Cy Young Award winners. None of the guys the Yankees faced were Cy Young Award winners, but they couldn't figure any of them out. And they do a good job at making average pitchers look really, really good. Way too often. And as a Yankee fan, it's very frustrating. But it just goes to show, too, the common theme amongst a lot of the batting lineups that give the Yankees fits are with the Tigers and specifically with teams like the Blue Jays and the Tampa Bay Rays, is that they are relentless, persistent. They're athletic, more athletic than the Yankees, but they're constant. They just have a lot of disruptors, hitting lots of singles and doubles and not waiting for a 3-run home run and not making ridiculous base running blunders like Gary Sanchez did today, 4 runs down. Now, this is a little bit different than the other day when the coach sent him for, I don't know why. He sent him and he was out by like 700 feet. But this is when he hits a ground ball and they throw it and it gets past the first baseman, but he clearly doesn't look and he just takes off and they're down by 4. It doesn't go that far past the first baseman and he gets thrown out at second. And again, the Yankees were down by 4 at this point. So this is all Gary Sanchez. But he's still, whether it's him or the coach, I said this the other day, he suffers from SBS. It's Steve Balboni syndrome. He can't run. He's slow. He's got bricks in his legs. It's just, come on. This is why the Yankees need more versatile hitters and switch hitters and, just disruptors. Guys that walk, guys that steal bases, guys that get on first and second on a regular basis, guys that wear out pitchers, starting pitchers. We can't have these average guys going 7 innings against us, and our starters are going 3, okay, in some situations. They've been better recently, but, today we had Mike King, and then it was Nestor Cortez, who they called up today. So, yeah, that's what we have. And I've also, preaching is that the Yankees have needed more pitching depth for a long time, because behind Deivi, Garcia, they're light, man. And they've got some young, dynamic pitchers, but none of them are getting a chance, just like Chris Gittens isn't getting a chance. He's sitting home or in Scranton, mashing the ball in AAA, where he could be mashing right now for the Yankees. But he isn't. They're saying he's on his... how could he not be on there? He should have been on their radar for 4 years now. You're saying he's on their radar now? Luke Voit's been hurt a lot, and he seems to be the most reasonable guy to come in and basically replace what Luke Voit provides. Yes, DJ moving over to first gives him some flexibility because with now Odor and stuff like that. But why are we letting guys like that toil in AAA? I don't understand that logic. And why is Tyler Wade not getting more opportunities in center field? If they're not going to if they're not going to bring somebody in, or they're not going to keep Estevan Floreal up, then you put Tyler Wade in center field. He's the fastest guy, him and Brett Gardner. Why do you not put the fastest person in center field? He's got a pretty solid glove in the outfield. He makes routine plays. He makes good plays. He's got a good read on the ball. How come he's not in center field? That's another perplexing thing for me. It's just like today's game. It's just they had nothing. They had nothing. They couldn't figure it out. They lost 6-2 and made base running blunders. The lineup was lifeless and they did really nothing. And the Detroit Tigers, I don't even have anything, and any highlights to report. So, and it's sad and it's frustrating at the same time. So I hope the Yankees can put this sweep behind them, and and kind of refocus, because they're going to have the next 7 games are back at home. Well, they play better at home, but they're going to be facing the Tampa Bay Rays and the Boston Red Sox, and they played well in their first test against the Chicago White Sox. These are 2 different beasts, and they're in their league. So the Yankees need to figure out, because they haven't figured out Toronto fully yet. They did better against them this past week, but they need to figure out Boston and Tampa, and what they need to do, who they need to bring in, how they need to restructure their lineup, because the offense is not constructed the way that it should be. And I know they've got constraints that people don't want to hear, the $210 million payroll mandate, and I get that people don't want to hear it, but that's the fact. It's not our money; it's their money. So sometimes Cashman makes bonehead moves, bonehead trades, but sometimes he's also hamstrung. So I'm kind of playing devil's advocate here, looking at both sides. But either way, they need to get more athletic. They need to get more versatile and more just hungry on the base paths, because they look lifeless. They really do. And excuse me, it's a shame, because they're better than that. And and they also need another pitcher. They need a lot of pieces, and I know that they're limited financially this deadline, but there are moves that they can make. There are contracts they can offset, and even if you add a valuable piece that you might not want to, but they have to start making some type of moves, even if it's calling guys up or doing something to shake up the lifeless, mentality and lifeless, excuse me, look of the team. And it is what it is. That's the facts right now. We have to accept that. And again, as a diehard Yankee fan, I hate saying it, but it's true. And they've got to do something. Hopefully, Brian Cashman's working the phones and doing stuff like that, and just it's funny because I watched Moneyball this morning. It was on TV with Brad Pitt, who played Billy Beane, and how aggressive and creative he was at just making trades, calling 4 or 5 GMs at the same time, and pinning one off this and making trades. And I love to see Cashman do something like that and be creative and just be aggressive and kind of fearless. I wish sometimes he would do a little Dave Dombrowski and make some bold, ridiculous trade. But he hasn't done. He's very calculated in his approach, and I would imagine that he's got Steinbrenner in his ear too. So that doesn't always help. But I'm confident in the Yankees' ability to kind of change this around. They're still, a better team than they look, obviously, but they need to get things together here. And they need to start utilizing the weapons that they have, because they're not really doing that, especially the young ones. And again, Tyler Wade, Chris Gittens, Floreal, why bring him up for a day and then send him down? And we got a lot of young pitchers as well. Did we really expect Corey Kluber to stay healthy for the whole entire season? I didn't. Did we expect Tyon to stay? I mean, he has been so far, but I expect potentially a setback with him, even though he's younger than Kluber, so his ability to bounce back might be a little bit different. But with that said, I'd still be bringing in depth one way or another. I advocated for a 6-man rotation this year for the sole reason of keeping pitchers healthy or healthier, and that hasn't really happened. We're seeing a lot of pitchers go down with injuries, so this is where depth could have come in handy. But we'll see what happens now. You let me know what you think, if there's any moves that you think that the Yankees should make right now, because I'm going to do a video, 3 moves that the Yankees should make immediately, and that's going to come out tomorrow, or the next day actually. Tomorrow is going to be my next trade deadline series video. So my first one dealt with Trevor Story, that's in the description. My next one's about Max Scherzer, so make sure you watch that, and they'll let me know what you think. The one after that will be 3 moves the Yankees need to basically make immediately, whether it's be moving up or trades or whatnot, so to kind of shake things up, because they need to do something, and they need to do it yesterday. So that's my view. But thanks for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you next time.